Okay, this is your official hi because now we're recording. So this is Danielle's weekly team call. Yeah. And I'm Amy Glenn, and I'm teaching on the topic of creating a strengths-based culture. And we're talking about this in reference to doTERRA, of course. So I actually created a PowerPoint. So let me tell you what strength I don't have. That is techie stuff. Okay, hold on. Okay, can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna just see, I don't know if I can play in here. Can you see still working? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. So I have to start off and tell you a little bit about myself because I don't think I've ever been to a doTERRA chat or team call or whatever where we don't have an introduction like that, right? I think all of us, we all have our why, and a big part of it for everybody, I'm sure, is your family. So this is my family. I have two twin daughters. They're 18 and they're in their freshman year of college. And then I've got two sons. I have a 9-year-old and a 2-year-old. And this is my husband, Thomas. And we are both musicians. And we came into doTERRA. My sister-in-law, Callie, invited me to do doTERRA. And I turned her down for months. I was like, you're crazy. I don't need your MLM. Leave me alone. And I had a career. I wasn't looking for another career opportunity, but doTERRA came calling, and it was meant to be. It was supposed to be in our lives. So our little story here. My husband, like I said, he's an opera singer. This is him accepting a Grammy. This is me and him at the Grammys together. It was quite an adventure. But he actually had a vocal injury. And as a singer, that's pretty serious business, because if you can't sing, you can't work, right? And so for him, oils was a dramatic experience for us, like completely dramatic. He actually will just say, we'll just not worry about being super squeaky clean compliant, but he healed. He didn't really have a disease, and he didn't have an option for drugs. So I'm actually not making a disease or drug claim. So that's how I can get off by saying that. But he actually had a nodule. Singers sometimes have vocal nodes. That happened to Julie Andrews, and it's happened to a lot of famous people. And the options were surgery or vocal rest. And he chose the vocal rest, and a lot of frankincense. So we love frankincense. So that's kind of our oil story. So I'm an opera coach. About me, it's just a fancy way of saying I'm a pianist, and I play the orchestra on the piano. So and then I help singers to make sure that they're all polished and ready to go for orchestra time. And this is opera, the opera genre. So orchestra time is really expensive, so we like to have singers all ready to go. So I'll help coach them on their French, German, and Italian. I'll make sure that their pronunciation's great, and they know what they're doing, and they're prepared and ready to go. So my coaching that I do with my husband and the people on my team is very similar. And that is that when I'm working with a singer, I want them to sound like their true voice. I want them to sound like themselves and no other. You can mimic somebody's voice, but if you're not yourself, that actually can cause vocal injury. And it's not healthy for the voice. So that's just kind of a little interesting snippet about my background. And actually, there's a huge correlation with StrengthsFinder and my background in music. So that's kind of our story. He had an injury. I had an injury. I was in a car accident. Oil spoke to me, and the business kind of came later. I had a lot of people who basically were beating down my door for like On Guard and frankincense and all the stuff that worked for us that I was sharing with people. And I just decided one day that I was just going to set aside my blocks about my about multi-level marketing, and I gave it a try. So here I am, and I'm excited to be with you guys. So there are a few things that I'm going to kind of touch on. First of all, how many of you have? I know you're muted, but you can kind of raise your hand. How many of you went to convention? 1, 2. Oops, sorry, I just went through the slides. I don't know how to go down. See, techie problems. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, cool. And maybe we had some more people too. I'm not sure. Okay, so we had some people at convention. Okay, so StrengthsFinder, Jeremy Breckeisen, he actually works for StrengthsFinder, Gallup StrengthsFinder, and he was at convention and he did a really great presentation, and you could probably find it on YouTube. He also did one for the Goddards not too long ago, and I have a link to that, so I can share that with you, Danielle, and with anyone on your team that wants to see that, because there's a lot more information, and he's such a great guy, and he's really enthusiastic and super fun, and I don't have his strengths, so I encourage you to watch his, because it's really, really good. I pulled a few things that I think are really great too, that I think really apply to creating that culture of strengths, is just kind of why I called it that title. But I'm going to hit on a few things that he touched on, and I'm going to do my best not to make it dry, and we'll try. I forgot to ask you, Danielle, how long do you usually go for these?
We do about like 45 minutes to an hour, kind of depending on what you got. Also, we had a couple comments. Oh, and that video that you're talking about, I think Callie did share that in EO Movement. So I know I personally watched it, and probably some of the other ladies on the phone have watched it. But Erin Anderson mentioned that she has vocal nodes and had the surgery still not back to normal. So she's going to bring on the Frank.
Oh, yes. Okay. So complete vocal rest is what he did. Complete vocal rest. And he didn't talk, like literally didn't talk for 6 weeks. And we had little kids, so it was like walking around with a dry erase board, and yeah. But frankincense is great in ice water. We could talk more if you want to chat privately.
So, and then also, Libby mentioned that she was at convention, but she couldn't figure out how to raise her hand. So,
okay.
So okay. I'm going to pop it in case there's questions and stuff that I can help you with here.
Okay, good. Yeah, keep popping in. Okay, thanks, Danielle. Okay, so we're just gonna touch on a few things. Why you matter. Name it, claim it, aim it. This is a system that that Jeremy kind of introduced. I went to the Diamond and Above Summit here in Canada a few weeks ago, and some of these are some of his notes too. So, whoops, I don't know how to. Oh, here we go. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. So a little bit about Gallups. Okay. So for those of you that didn't attend convention and maybe haven't seen that, that video that Daniel was just talking about, they are really the leading experts when it comes to a personality tests. And personality tests have been around for a while, right? I mean, you guys have probably seen them online and in different places, but these guys, like, they're really the world's leader when it comes to, oh, sorry, I'm covering up my microphone. When it comes to personality tests, they're amazing. And they've done like really, really, really thorough studies over the last several decades. And their research is just really, really extensive. And the personality test is developed, well, let me back up a little bit. So they were the very first ones to do a world poll, which is pretty incredible. So it was 98%, included 98% of the world's population. That's a really big deal. And it involved like face-to-face interviews, and we're talking people in the rice paddies of China, the jungles of Indonesia, like almost everywhere that they could possibly get, they went. And so they're really an incredible resource when it comes to so many different topics. They study people. They've conducted millions of they still conduct millions of surveys every year. So they're amazing. They track human trafficking, human slavery, child hunger around the world. They track financial metrics all around the world, unemployment rates. They basically know everything about everyone on the planet. So they're pretty remarkable. And all of these things, they use all of this information to help countries and to help companies and to help people all over the world and help them make better decisions. So they're using that information with integrity. So there's that. This is the founder of Gallups. His name is Donald Clifton. And he said, what will happen when we think about what is right with people rather than fixating on what's wrong with them? Now, when he started, he introduced this thought, and he has a psychology background. That's the doctor part. This was actually a new thought in the 1950s, because in the 1950s, if there was something wrong with you, it was like evil. It was wrong, right? You looked at it and you tried to fix it and dissect it and look at it from that angle. But his view was, let's see what's right with people, and let's focus on that. So very new thinking for his time. Now you guys have probably heard this, right? Energy flows where attention goes. We hear that a lot in doTERRA. Holy cow. This, I probably say this, I don't know how many times a week when I'm working with people one-on-one mentoring and team calls. And I have to remind myself of it, right? Day in, day out, we need to be super aware of where we are in our energy and in our thoughts, because those thoughts lead to emotions, and emotions lead to outcomes and results, right? But our energy is going to flow where that attention goes. So why not focus on what's right is kind of the philosophy here, okay? So for those of you that were at convention, you probably remember that Jeremy had everybody write down their name, like write their signature as fast as they could with their non-dominant hand in 15 seconds. So this was just I literally took this from my phone. That's why it's all fuzzy. But that was an exercise that we did. And then at the end of the exercise, he had us switch hands and then do it with our dominant hand. And then he started to get us to think. He asked us hypothetical questions that we were just to ask ourselves, like, how did that feel? How did that feel to write with your non-dominant hand? I know for me, I felt stupid. I was like, oh my gosh, my handwriting is so atrocious. It got a little bit better with my dominant. Actually, it got a lot better with my dominant. But it's amazing what happens when we're doing something that's not in our zone of genius. Okay, so that's just something to think about. By the way, a book, really great book recommendation, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. So good. It's really it really parallels this and talks about your zone of genius and really focusing on your strength as well. Okay, so this is kind of I did have this on Clicker, but I don't know how to do clickers, so I think I kind of screwed it up. But you get the idea. So focusing on a weakness-based culture versus focusing on a strengths-based culture. What's the difference? Now, and some of this is old school too, and some of it I'm guilty of old school thought. You know, like you grow up, you know, in your house, and some things you go, oh, I actually like I can do that better. But then there's some things that it just hasn't dawned on us. We do it because our parents taught us that, or whatever, for whatever reason, right? But I know a weakness-based culture rewards our strengths rather than managing our weaknesses. And there's a huge difference between the two. And I'm guilty. I'm so guilty of that. Investing in weaknesses is also part of that weakness-based culture rather than investing in your strengths. Now, sometimes some of that school of thought is if I work on this weakness and then I try to make it better, then maybe I'll be more well-rounded. But at the same time, what's happening if you're focusing so much energy on something like writing with your non-dominant hand, it's draining. It's totally draining, and you're not able to serve in your best light, right? So it really drains your energy, and then it takes away from your ability to do the stuff that you actually are good at. So that's kind of the philosophy behind that. Okay, just grabbing some of my notes here. Okay. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say a couple more things. Culture, this is kind of important to think about. Culture really comes back to where you decide to invest. When you do the Gallup Strengths Finder and you get your results aren't necessarily what you're naturally good at. We'll talk about that in a second. It's what you choose, what are the highest priorities that you would choose to invest in. And we're going to talk about that in a second. So, okay, I'm going to skip on this. Okay, let's just skip to this. Okay, so here's the equation. This is what it looks like. So talent times investment equals your strength. Okay, this is how it's broken down for Gallup's. So talent is just your natural way of thinking, your natural way of feeling, behaving. Okay, so we have our own innate talents. Investment is the difference. Investment is the time that we spend practicing, developing your skills, and building your knowledge base. And then those two together actually multiply into a strength. So the ability to consistently provide near perfect performances is really the definition of the strength. And I want to break this down because this is actually something that's really personal to me. I've been playing the piano for 37 years. I'm aging myself here. And a lot of people will come up to me after performance. I still do concert work. In fact, I'm leaving week after next to do some concerts in California with my husband. People come up to me frequently after performances and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I wish I could play the piano like you." and it's very flattering. I feel very flattered and grateful that people think that and feel that from seeing my performances. But here's the deal. When I started the piano at 5, I don't know if I really had that much talent, what people would really call talent. I mean, I probably had some. I mean, I know I had some, right? Like I had a pretty good ear. I could count, I could clap in rhythm. You know, there were some things that I could do that helped me in my musical journey. But I wasn't like a child prodigy at all. I was just a normal kid. But because I invested in it and I practiced every single day, and that was something that was just like brushing my teeth or doing my homework. After a few years, you know, at first when I'm 5, it's a half hour a day, then it's upping to 45 minutes, and then it's an hour. And by the time I'm a senior, it's 3 hours. And by the time I'm in college, it's 6 hours. So if you've ever read Outliers, if you guys are fans, I met my 10,000 hour rule probably when I was a freshman, sophomore in college. I'd already invested 10,000 hours in piano. And I think any person who had invested that number of hours in piano would be good at it. I'm just saying. I mean, I have some talent, but I'm just going to say, like, the investment really multiplied the talent, and that's why it's a strength for me. How many of you have something similar, can relate to that? Right? You guys are all good at stuff. You know, maybe one person's good at ice skating, somebody's good at sports, somebody's, you know, good at sewing. You know, my mother-in-law is an amazing seamstress. You know, we all have these different talents, but we have a raw talent, but it's also the time invested. And I think that's really important to never assume that it's just talent. Okay, so that's something that I always correct people on. Okay, so a lot of this stuff, sorry you guys if this is dry. I hope it's not dry and boring.
That's great.
Okay. Okay. There's a lot of statistics that kind of correlate with this, and then we'll kind of get into some more interactive, some good stuff. So people who focus on using their strengths are 3 times as likely to report having an excellent quality of life, and they're 6 times as likely to be engaged in their jobs. That's amazing, right? What does that tell us? If you're seen and heard, if you're recognized for your talents and able to work in those talents, your life is going to be better, right? More stats, okay? 18 to 18% people increased performance. This is people who are focusing on their talents or their strengths. 2 to 10% higher customer metrics, 7 to 23% higher employee engagement, 20, and this isn't just individuals, but businesses too, and teams, 20 to 73% lower attrition, falling out, 4 to 10% increased citizenship. Like, you can't beat those stats. It's amazing, right? This was something from conventions. So again, this is, if you guys were there, you probably saw this. So this is they took a group of kids. This is like a little study that they did. So this was people who were above average reader, and then kind of just just kind of average reader. And this is how many words a minute they could read. Okay, just straight out of the box. Then they focused on their strengths, and they worked with them on their strengths. And then this was their result. The above average reader, 2,900 words a minute.
No.
Isn't that insane? I can't even do that. I can't even imagine. And then the average reader, 150. So it's, and that's just the second time. So amazing, right? Really, really incredible. Like, yeah. Focusing on your strengths changes your well-being. This is some more studies, just straight from Gallup's. So time focused on strengths, and then the emotions experienced, okay? So happiness, the happiness goes up when they're focusing on their strengths. This is, so these are categories: 0 to 3 hours, 4 to 6, 7 to 9. Okay, you get it? Their energy raises when they're focusing on their strengths. They're smiling, they're laughing, they're engaged. Okay. And their stress goes down, their worry goes down, and their pain goes down. Isn't that incredible? I thought that was a really cool study. Okay, another example. This is a medical device company. For every dollar that the company spent on strengths-based management training for their employees, the company yielded $3 in return within 3 months. So that's a 300% return. So, like, just incredible, right? Another study, just really quickly, and I have college on my mind because my twins are in college this year for their first year. So this is a study done with students at University of Minnesota, having 10 conversations about their strengths maximized success for their students. And this is kind of what they discovered. This was their overall college experience, their academic career, their daily life, and their relationships. And sorry, I don't know if you can see the screen entirely because of the way that it's set up, but I don't know. But anyway, it's really incredible that when they're focusing on their strengths, everything got better, right? Okay, so this is just this is a coaching process, and I think this is really applicable to doTERRA, especially if you want to do doTERRA as a business, even if it's part-time or you're just dabbling in it. Maybe you're thinking about, oh, I'd really like to really make some money at it and really, really get better at it. This is something that we do in doTERRA. We do a lot of working together, right? This is a people business. Even just with your customers and sharing oils, it's about people and interaction. And so this is going to come in handy with every aspect of life, even outside of doTERRA. Maybe you have another job, or your role as a spouse or a parent. So strengths coaching is this perpetual process of name it, claim it, aim it. And we'll kind of explain this a little bit. Oh, this is Jeremy, this guy from convention. We both look super tired here because it was like almost midnight. We just arrived our hotel in Toronto where we had the Diamond Summit last in November, just a few weeks ago. So we did this really quickly with Diamonds and Above in Canada. We did this, what we call speed strengthening. Okay, can't even say that. But before we even arrived, we had all done the Gallup Strengths Finder. So we already knew what our strengths were. Okay, and he took those stats. And then he asked us to go around the room in 3 minutes and collect as many different strengths that different leaders had around the room as possible in those 3 minutes. And then we wrote them down and then we counted them up. And by the way, this is a really great exercise for you to do with your leaders. Not in the timing thing, but just collecting them and finding out how many different and diverse strengths that you have on your team, because that's important to know what you're working with. So these are there's 34 themes, and these are the different themes. You can find these online and look at them. I probably won't stay on this slide for very long, but there are so many different themes. And you'll see on a slide later that you could do just your top 5, or you can do all of them. I did all of mine because I understood from Jeremy that people don't normally play just in their top 5. They play in all of them, but more typically in their top 10. And so that's kind of I think a motivator to get the extended one. But this is all of the talent themes that they have divided up with Gallup's. Okay. And then these were the results for all the Diamonds and Above in Canada. So I actually saw on another Facebook page, somebody asked, so what strength do I need to be successful? Because I really want to be a diamond. What are the most popular ones, or what are the best ones? And the funny thing is that they're all over the place. If you look at this, if you look at the different themes, I mean, achiever is high, right? For Diamonds and Above. That makes sense, right? But we had a little bit of everything. And if we'd had just a few more bodies in the room, we probably would have had way more, and all of them, right? So the answer is there's nobody like you, first of all, but there isn't a common theme. Achiever is popular, but there are a lot of diamonds, blues, and presidentials that don't have achiever in their top 5. It's true. Fact. There are people who don't have strategic in their top 5 that are that high ranked. So you don't have to necessarily have those. You don't have to have somebody else's strengths is the answer. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So what does this tell us? Yes, there is no one like you. No one. You are absolutely, positively unique. Okay, do we have any questions? Do I need to pause for a second, or are you good so far?
No, I think we're pretty good so far. Yeah, just some people were commenting about, Jackie was just saying she had listened to Strength Finder 2.0 on Audible, and it really made her thinking about parenting and teaching and how that can also help her in doTERRA, which I totally agree.
Totally.
It's so applicable to parenting and teaching.
Absolutely. And relationships, and it applies to everything. I absolutely agree. Yeah. So just a few things about your strengths. No one person is well-rounded. No one person can be well-rounded. We're not meant to be. Isn't that interesting? So of all of their studies, of all of the millions and millions of studies that Gallup has done each year and over decades, no one person can be well-rounded. We're not built that way. That's not how we're supposed to be. Teams and partnerships literally complete us. We actually need each other. So if somebody says to you on your team, it's okay, I got this, I want to do it on my own. Well, first of all, it's hauling buckets, right? And not building a pipeline. So there's that. But then the other part is they're missing out. They're missing out. They're not going to go as far as fast. There's that. But then they're really missing out because we really complete each other. It's absolutely true. No need to pretend to be something we're not. Awesome. I don't have to pretend to be Callie Wilson, even though she's amazing and I love her, right? It's liberating to accept ourselves for who we are, right? We're only our best selves, right? Stop worrying about being perfect, right? Because you're your own perfect, all right? It doesn't mean that we can slack off and be lazy. We're not saying that, but you don't have to there's no perfection here, right? Like you don't have to beat yourself up. Start loving that we are imperfectly perfect. Bring in your Brene Brown, harness it, right? You need your team to be successful, okay? You need them to be successful, and they need you to be successful. And the only way to do that is for everybody to be themselves, right? You are enough. This is a common theme that we hear all the time. I've heard it so much over the last few months, and I think it's really a really important message, because I think in our our daily lives and distractions, it's really easy to feel to compare, right? And feel like, oh gosh, I wish I was like that or like that. But you are enough. You are the best version of you, and you shouldn't be anybody else. And it's wonderful. And your leaders are enough too. They don't need to be somebody else. They just need to be themselves. Okay, so stop. This was his message to us, was stop trying to fix each other and start trying to build each other. Isn't that a different message than maybe for me? It's like seriously a mind shift, because even just for myself and how I think about myself every day, I'm seriously like always working on that mindset, because it's easy to go down that way, right? Okay. And I just had to do a slide. These are some of the people on my team. I just love, this isn't all of them, of course, but a lot of the leaders on my team. And I just have to tell you, I am so grateful that they have the strengths that they do. Because a lot of them have strengths I just suck at. I'll just be honest. Like there's some woos on there, there's some activators, and I'm not that. My number one is individualization, and I'm also super relator. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But anyway, my point is that me and my frontline leaders have very different strengths. Some of them correlate, some of them correspond, and some of them we have some similar themes, but only maybe one or two in our top 5, top 10. So I feel like it's awesome. We balance each other out, and we're able to really do more. We're able to do more because we're able to work together more. So this is just something that you guys, you can do on your own. You could take a picture of the slide if you want, or just take notes, or just mentally take a note. But I think one thing that we want to do in doTERRA, and this is something that actually Callie shared with me in the very beginning. This was, 6 years ago. We didn't have any training manuals. We didn't have any, all these wonderful training systems that are happening right now. They're so wonderful and so fun. We didn't have that because doTERRA was still so new. But one thing she taught me was to study people's success. And I learned it from her because she learned it. And she learned it on her own because she actually had in her upline, and I guess This is good for you guys to know because we're all on the same team. But she had some people who weren't mentoring her, right? And she needed mentorship. And so she reached out and all over the place to mentor with Elise Chedevy and the Goddards and anybody who was doing stuff right and good. She wanted to learn from. And I admire that in her. And she taught that to me early. And that was a valuable lesson for me. And I learned that too. If you see somebody doing something good, something that you like, jot it down and study it and figure out that success. But also study your success. Study your success, because that's the number one place to start, and your leaders as well. So here's your rank in doTERRA, factors that explain your success and how, I can't see. I don't know how to, let's see. Can I do, oh yeah. How do you use your strengths? How do you use these? So whatever rank you are, and your leaders too, again, this is for your leaders too, look at that and look at what they're good at. So sometimes people say to me, I don't know, I can't close, right? I can't close. I suck at closing. And so, what we like to do is we like to switch the thinking and really go, well, what are you good at? What are your strengths? And well, the first question I usually ask is, have you ever closed? And usually they go, oh, well, yeah, I guess I have closed. I have shared oils and helped somebody open an account. Well, that's awesome. So what did that look like for you? You know, and then studying it and asking questions so you can really engage and really kind of get to know more about their process and what's worked for them. So that's a success that they've had in the past. Oftentimes people think, I need to be like you in order to be able to get that success. I want to be like Danielle. She's a diamond, so I better be exactly like Danielle, right? But they're going to be their best version of them, not you and not me. You know, so when they did do it right, what did it look like? And then you're going to ask questions like that. So a big part of doing doTERRA is conversation and communication with your leaders, right? And so this is really going to, in your mentoring, this can really help in that process. Oops. Okay. So some key principles of studying success: taking ownership of who you are honors the principle of duplication. And that's something, everything that we do in doTERRA duplicates, the good and the bad. I've seen it, trust me. You know, so really being aware, conscious, you know, of what it is that we're doing. So some of the things, denying your success looks like blaming outside factors, right? It's not my fault, it's my uplines, they're not helping me. Or they didn't sponsor any money to me, or I don't know, whatever, right? Blaming outside factors, or I'm so busy, my life, la, 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 la. Denying your success, cherish good luck, burying your talents, being self-centered, right? That being selfish, that can really be a detriment to denying your, that can be a contributing factor to denying your success. And then counter duplication, but taking ownership of your success. What does that look like? Connecting to who you are, cherishing who you are, recognizing your talents, understanding your role, and then duplicating that process so people can figure out how to do that for themselves. Okay. So the moment of truth is when you realize, oh, I can do that. So in that conversation you have with your leader who says, I can't, la, 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 la. Well, have you ever? Oh, well, actually I have. Okay. Well, what did that look like? And then you're answering those questions. Oh, I guess I could do that. I guess I did do that. Okay, cool, right? So that's kind of what those conversations look like, to kind of get them thinking in the right direction, so that it moves from I can't to I can. Okay. Strengths redefines duplication. So focusing on outcomes and not process. That's really really important, because my way of doing things might not work for you. Okay. I'm kind of left brain. I've got strategy in there and analytical stuff. Okay. It kind of goes along with my music, but my process is very left brain, where other people are really creative. Like I have a friend, a girl on my front line who is amazing, and I love her, and she's a total activator and woo. And she's like a really big personality. I'm an introvert. I'm shy. Yes, I'm a performing artist, but I'm a relator. So themes, let me just talk about themes for a quick second. So a woo is winning people over. Okay. So if that's the person who goes to the party and they circulate the room and they talk to everybody there, There's not a single person they missed. They don't talk to them for very long because otherwise they won't be able to talk to everybody, right? So they're moving quickly, but high energy and happy. Okay, that's a woo. The way that Jeremy described it is they're an inch deep, like deep in conversation, and a mile wide. So they're going all over the place. For those of you who don't know Callie, I'm sure everybody does. That's my sister-in-law. She's a woo. That's in her top 5. Okay. I'm the opposite. I'm a relator. I'm the person who is an inch wide and a mile deep. So when I talk to somebody, I want to know everything about them. I want to know how they tick and what motivates them and what things have inspired them in their life and their life story. That is me. I could stick to, I know how to circulate the room and I can, but it drains me. I'll be honest. I can do it and I do it all the time. If I have to go to opera fundraisers and concerts and stuff, and I go to convention, I love convention and I know how important it is to connect with my team leaders, but I get drained because I'm a relator. I want to go deep with people. And so I'm an inch wide and a mile deep. So it's just kind of funny how, and it's not that we can't do things because we can, it's what do we prefer to do? What are we likely to do? And that's what our talents are going to show when we do the strengths test. Okay. So anyway, sorry, total tangent, but that kind of gives you a little glimpse of what it looks like to kind of play with these. But focusing on outcomes and not the process. So instead of working on the process that works for me, we're going to look at the outcomes. So what do you want? What's your goal? You're working for silver? Awesome. So how do you see yourself getting there? And find out what works for them. Deconstruct the success that people have, not your success. If you're looking for it for you, yes, you want to deconstruct your own success as you're figuring your stuff out. But if you're mentoring with a team leader, you're working with your 3 or more leaders, you want to deconstruct their success too. And look at that, not the failure. Okay. You don't want to not look at failure because failure is a huge lesson, but not only the failure is what I'm trying to say. You are the easiest person to duplicate for you. I should have continued that thought. You don't want your other people to feel like they have to be you, but you want them to be them. All right. You want to be you. You want them to be them. All right. All kinds can be successful at doTERRA. This is something I've said over and over again in the last few years that I've done doTERRA and my team calls. And I know some people still don't believe me, but it's true. It's true. All people can be successful at it if they do it their way, right? And I mean, there are principles that work and don't. I mean, there's still a lot of work involved, but there is a lot of work involved, no doubt. That's a huge part of it. But I think a lot of people, there's not any one personality type is what I'm trying to say that can be successful. Anybody could be successful if they choose to be, right? If they want to show up and invest in themselves in the business. Don't duplicate personality. People sniff that out so fast, and you don't want that. You want to be authentic, right? Pull out some more Brene Brown stuff. You don't want to mimic somebody else's personality or whatever. It's fun to learn. Like I have a lot of people right now who are they're doing the how to reach the 96% stuff with Jody Hoffman. And I love her. She's awesome. She's so much fun. She's so high energy. She's hilarious. She has all these funny jokes. I could never be Jody Hoffman. And even the people on my team who have a similar personality as her can't be Jody Hoffman. Only Jody Hoffman can be Jody Hoffman. But we can learn from her and then make those things our own. So when we tell our jokes, it's going to be our jokes in our way, right? And the things that she's teaching are incredibly valuable, and they're awesome, and they're working really well, by the way. So there's that. People can be superstars without forcing others to copy them. Okay? Spend the rest of your life discovering how to be the best version of you. Okay, so this is where for those of you who haven't taken the test, this is where you would go to take it. All right, it's GallupStrengthsCenter.com, and the popular one is the top 5. It's $20. I've had all of my leaders who are enrolled to me take it. And it's just eye-opening. It's life-changing. I actually did the all 34. It's totally worth the investment. If you need to save up for it or budget for it, do it. Totally worth it. If you've already had the top 5, but you want to unlock the rest of them, you can do that. It's just called Beyond the Top, the top 5, and that's $69. So it's still the same price if you decide to do all of them, but just do it in phases. So you can do that. Okay.
So Amy,
yeah.
What would be the value of knowing beyond the 5? Is that just to know the order of the other strengths and how that?
Yes, exactly. And the thing about that I understand about StrengthsFinder is that most people don't play just in their top 5. They're really playing more like on a regular basis in their top 10. Mm. And so that's what I understand from Jeremy. That's what he said. And so, yeah. And for me, I mean, I'm just I just geek out over this. I started reading self-help books when I was a teenager. So decades of, but whenever we move, it's like the worst part of our move is moving all of our opera scores and all of my self-help books, my leadership and personal development, because I just love it. I just find it so fascinating. So even if I wasn't doing doTERRA, I would be doing this just because I love it. Right. Mm-hmm. But I think it can really be eye-opening to ourselves, to unlocking who we are, and just knowing more about who we are. And people have asked me before, well, how can a test really, nail you down? They're like skeptical about it or whatever. A test is a test. There's human error. It's not perfect. It was created by humans, Homo sapiens. But there's so much to learn from it. And in terms of personality tests, this is the best of the best. They've been around forever, and they're the best. So I love it, and I've just learned so much from it. I think it's totally worth it. These are some books that I would also recommend you guys. I have a lot of these. This is StrengthsFinder 2.0. You can get them on Amazon or the Gallup's website. But it literally it goes through the different the different strengths and has them in here and just like more information about them. It's kind of more like a reference book. You don't just like sit down and read it. It's not that kind of a book, But if you do get the test, I just want you to know that you'll have access to everything that is all of it anyway. So you don't necessarily have to buy this book, but I just like it because I like books.
And it's the same price, right? I mean, you could pay $20 for the book and you get the test for free. Right. Or you could pay $20 for the test and then you have access online, which is great too. And Jackie just recommended, she just said she likes the book too because, like you said, there's a lot of examples for each one.
Tons.
So I think that's really valuable. And then Libby said, which is the book with the code? That's the first one, the StrengthsFinder 2.0, right, Amy?
Which is the one with the what?
She was wondering which book has the code.
The code?
For the free test.
I don't know. I don't understand. The code?
So each book comes with a free code for you to take the test. So I understand the StrengthsFinder 2.0, it'll come with a with a code in it.
Okay, well, I just discovered that, and I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
So thank you, Libby.
Yeah.
It's in there. It's in that one. Yeah. I didn't know anything about that. I took the test and then I geeked out over this and bought a bunch of them online, and yeah.
Now you have an extra one you can pass around, which is nice to have. There was another good question, and it said, do your strengths change over time?
That is something that came up. I actually asked, okay, so here's something. When I got in to the hotel, I actually got like 2 hours with Jeremy. And I got to ask him like tons and tons of questions, and that was one of them. He actually said that your strengths don't change. He said they've actually done studies with that, even where they've taken their test and then they take it a few years later. He said by the age of 15, this is kind of a scary thought, you kind of are who you are. And he said it doesn't really change. It stays the same. So, and I that was one of the first questions I asked, because I was like, oh, I wonder if, I've changed and gotten better, with all of this stuff I'm working on in doTERRA. I wonder if some of them moved around and I have a better one higher. It's not like that. So Yeah, so you kind of are who you are. A couple other here. This is Strengths-Based Parenting. I just started reading this. This is a really good book. So, you know, again, this isn't just applying to doTERRA, it's life. This helps everybody at strengthening your strengths. And then there's another one that I that I also like, Entrepreneurial Strengths Finder. This is really good too. So really good stuff. Okay, so I do have just a little bit more. Hope I'm not going too long.
No, this is great.
Okay, cool. But just interrupt me if you have other questions. So achieve elevation with your intentions. So we're just going to go through just a few here. This is just just a little bit of tweaking. Do you guys want mentoring stuff?
Oh,
like
yeah.
mentor your people? Okay, because I could skip it, but I was like, I mean, if it was me, I'd want it.
It's valuable, yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of like a look of how Jeremy suggests coaching and mentoring with some of your team leaders in this, you know, strengths way of doing things. So he starts each of his, and by the way, let me just say, I'm not promoting this Strengths Finder because I get any sort of kickback, and neither does he. Even though he works for them, he works for them and travels all around the world and like teaches Fortune 500s on how to apply Strengths Finders to their teams. And he shares this with doTERRA for free, and he doesn't get any kickback. There's no kickback at all. If people go and do the test, there's no way for him to get any credit for it. So this is just sharing because this is really awesome. So I just had to say that. So he is a gold in doTERRA actually, and he's building out a team, and he's doing Diamond Club right now. But this is how he starts his mentoring. He says, everybody's going to start with this. You're going to ask these questions, each of you. You get the best of me when, okay? And you get the worst of me when. And the reason why you do this is because you need to get that clarity. I think anytime a relationship goes wonky, it's because there are expectations that were missed or not communicated, right? When it comes down to, I read an article recently about the number one reason why marriages fall apart. It has nothing to do with infidelity or money. It's actually unmet expectations. It always comes back to the expectations. So you get the best of me when, and the mentor, these are just like hypotheticals, right? You get the best of me when, hold on, see if I can see it. I can't see right now for some reason. You get the best of me when I feel like you want somebody else is going to have to read it. I don't know why I can't.
I can read it, Amy, if you want.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. Sure. Yep. You get the best of me when I feel like you want my help and are willing to consider new ideas.
Awesome. So then the builder, okay.
Let's say you get the best of me when I feel like you listen, care about me as a person, and put my success first.
Nice, right? These are hypotheticals, but these are just some ideas. Okay, so you get the worst of me when, this is the
when you don't like me or respect me. And the builder said, you get the worst of me when you don't have a list of actions I can focus on to help my business grow.
Right? Yeah, and whether or not they're right or wrong has nothing to do with it. It's getting the doors open to the communication so you can find out what those expectations are. And then you can work from there within each other's strengths to figure those things out, okay? So here's another, so mentoring with balance. One thing, and this is that part of the exercise too. One thing I expect of you is
to communicate with me if you are struggling rather than suffering in silence and letting something small turn into something big.
This is one that I feel a lot, and I am guilty of not communicating. So this is a really good thing as you're mentoring with your leaders and working with them that you express that, okay? And then for the builder,
one thing I expect of you is to hold me accountable for the actions you give me.
Right? Cool. And it's awesome that when that really is an expectation. Sometimes people don't want to be accountable, but it's good, right? Okay, cool. And then you can count on me to
care more about you than you do about yourself. I won't let you hurt yourself. I have your back. I'm going to put you first.
Awesome. And the builder?
You can count on me to work hard and to keep a positive attitude.
Nice. Okay, so does this kind of give you some ideas of how those conversations could kind of go?
Yeah, definitely. This is wonderful.
Okay, cool. And then I have to share with you the app. So the app, it looks like that's the symbol. Let me just, hold on a second.
I actually just downloaded this, and I so love this. It's such a nice thing. I don't know if people are looking, or if you could, you probably can't see. It's too
So if
late.
you can see, where's my camera? It looks like, oh, I have a screenshot of it on here. Okay, so it has the G on there, but the name of it is Clifton Strengths. So it has the G for Gallup, but the title of it, if you go to iTunes, is Clifton Strengths app. But you just click on it, and if you've taken so the app is free, and then if you've taken the test, you can see all of yours. So I can see all of mine right here. Okay, and I can click on it. So my number 1 is individualization. People who are especially talented in the individualization theme are intrigued with the unique qualities and talents of each person. See why I geek out over this? They have a gift for figuring out how people who are different can work together productively and come together. So you can click on each one individually and give you like a little tiny glimpse of it. But then if you click on learn more, it'll give you even more about individualization, and it'll give you videos and stuff on each individual one. So then you can go back. Okay, and then it has my full 34, of course, because I did all of them. But then let me just show you what I really love about this, and that is that I can see my leaders' strengths. So if they've done their strengths, they can input me in here, and they can share with me. So there's a sharing with me, and then there's also sharing with others. So this is all the people that I'm sharing with, and then you can click on those who are sharing with me. And when I click on them, then I can view their strengths. So when I'm going to do my mentor calls each week, I have those pulled up. I actually have them in my notes too, because I use notes on my phone and on my computer. But I like to have those at the forefront of my mind, because whenever I get stuck, like, why isn't this working? They're not understanding me. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I should be understanding them. So it's just kind of like a reminder, of who am I talking to? Oh my gosh, I'm so in my own head, and I'm so being, all about me. So Outward Mindset, The Outward Mindset, that's a really good book, by the way. Sorry, keep getting distracted, but that's a really good book about outward. Okay, so all of these are really great. These little screenshots just kind of show you kind of how the app works. I recommend it. I absolutely love it. It's amazing. These are some other things I just want to share with you really quick. These are the theme insight cards. And I actually gifted these to all of my leaders, my qualifying leaders who are on my front line for Christmas. And what you can do with these, so it actually comes with like explanation to show you how they work. But all of your talents, by the way, your talent themes, they're all color-coded. They're color-coded by themes, and themes are executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic thinking. And so it's nice because you're able to kind of see just at a really quick glance, how that works with you and your leaders and how you can work together. So anyway, that's a lot of fun. And then you pull up your whatever strength it is, it's on the card. Like here's belief, right? And then it'll show you all the different things, common themes about that theme. And then it'll also show theme contrasts. So it'll show you who you're compatible with and who you might have difficult time with and why. And it'll give you some really empowering thoughts to help keep you focused so that you don't run into problems with the contrasting theme. Does that kind of make sense? So it's eye-opening. It's so much fun, and I've been having a lot of fun with them. So anyway, those are awesome. This book is written by Jeremy's wife, Anchor to Your Strengths, and I bought it, but I haven't gotten it yet. But it's combining the science of who you are with the chemistry of essential oils. So what they're doing is they're taking those 34 strengths, themes, and she actually got permission from Gallup's to do this, but she's also combining it with essential oils. So it's kind of like a combination of Gallup's and then Emotions and Oils. You guys have that book? The Emotions and Essential Oils. It's such a good book. If you don't have it, I recommend that one too. But I think they work really, really well together. And I think this is kind of like, that's kind of a mashup of the two, if you will. So sorry, oh gosh, yeah, I'll try to wrap it up here. Almost finished. So fundamentals of strengths coaching, know their strengths, know their situation. We always say meet people where they are. you can't make a plan. You can't go anywhere if you don't know where they are first. Okay. Otherwise you're talking over their head. So recognize where they are first. Know their goal, right? If you're just guessing that their goal is whatever rank or whatever they're working for, you're not even on the same page. So know what their goal is. Know their critical activities. That's super important when it comes to mentor calls. Or you can call them accountability calls. I mean, that's a big part of it right there. You know, what are they working on to be able to reach that goal? That's the plan part. You know, if people are floundering and frustrated and you're not talking about that, nothing's really going to change, right? Point their strengths at those critical activities. So there's always work part of this. No matter what your strengths are, there's still, you know, to reach silver still looks like 3 elites. You know, to be able to be elite is still 3,000 no matter what. You know, but we can all get there differently depending on how we're utilizing our strengths. So just really quickly, some coaching principles here that can kind of help you in your mentoring and working with your leaders. Become a talent scout. Okay, this is the coaching principle. You're going to listen for the clues to their talents. Okay, of course, it always helps to have their Gallup Strengths Finder. So I recommend that. Explore rather than judge. So leading with questions. Find out more information. It's for me. I'm so guilty of this. In my mind, somebody tells me something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally know what they're doing or not doing, right? Reserve judgment. Set it aside and keep an open mind and ask more questions. Never assume. Never assume. Try to get more information so you can find out what's really going on so you can really help them. Coaching principle of being your best. Use your strengths to coach. Don't try to be somebody else. You know, the moment I try to mimic another leader who I admire and I'm like, oh man, I just wish I could be like them. It just kills it for me. You know, it doesn't work. It's okay to work towards something that you want to work on, but you want to still be yourself. Okay. Study success. Okay. Anytime you hear I can't, you know, think about, recognize what's really going on and shift that. Okay. And we talked about that earlier. Killing distractions. Identify the 3 most important activities that will explain 80% of their results. Another good book, Eat That Frog. It's all about prioritization. Like if you're really stuck and like, oh man, I feel overwhelmed with doTERRA, just do what's most important. Do one thing. Doesn't matter what it is. Just pick one thing, but try to make it an important thing. Okay. And see it through to its completion. Okay, and then this is just kind of, we'll just kind of wrap it up really quickly. If you guys went to convention, you probably saw a little bit of this, but again, Gallup's and all of their research and study, they recognize that the will of the world has changed. People want a good job. They don't just want a family like it was in the 50s. You know, we're in a different generation and things are shifting. They want to do something valuable in the world. You know, that's really going to change things. And 6 things that are really important to people, what they want. Instead of a paycheck, they want purpose. Instead of satisfaction, they want development. Instead of a boss, they want a coach. Isn't that interesting? So they don't want to feel like they have a traditional boss. Instead of anger, they want ongoing conversations, or it's anger or reprimanding. They want ongoing conversations, so it's open. Instead of focusing on their weaknesses, they want you to focus on their strengths. And instead of just a job, they want to build a life. Okay, so very, very different focus than it was just a few years ago. Good jobs are scarce, though. 94% of 10 million new jobs are alternative work. So that's like part-time work or like Uber. You know, we see so many jobs like that and so many career changes. I've seen so many people have multiple career changes of just people that I know, you know, never mind the stats. There are fewer big companies in the last 20 years. So from 7,300 to like really more like 3,700 companies. I can't read what's there on the far right.
You know what, sorry, let me move my thing up. Here.
Good jobs are
not good. 16-year stagnation, U.S. worker engagement.
Right.
Sorry, if you change it so there's only one photo there, then you could see. I just had, then you'll just have one thumbnail, and then you could see the whole screen.
For some reason, I can't even. My cursor is not working. So
there you go. I did it on mine, so I could see now again.
Okay. I don't know. It's just because it's not happy doing the PowerPoint or whatever. But yeah. So anyway, so you get the idea. Like people are changing, and I think a big part of that change, the solution, is doTERRA. That's a huge a huge opportunity for change. That is a solution for so many people on so many levels, not just physical, not just emotional, but financial, social, spiritual. So for doTERRA, it can provide your purpose to disrupt healthcare. It can provide your development to grow your business. It can give you a coach. Okay. It can actually give you immediate feedback. It can give you your strengths. You can make a difference, and it can create a life for you where it doesn't feel like a job. It's something that you want to do. So anyway, that's kind of the gist of that. And just to kind of wrap things up here, healthcare should start. Jeremy said this. I'm stealing it right from him from convention, but he said healthcare should start when there is something right with you, right? Not when something's wrong with you. How mind-blowing is that? And same thing with everything else. If we're thinking from a glass is half full, perspective, it's so interesting. And just a few stats just to leave you with, is just that no one really, in fact, no one is like you. And this is really interesting. I just find this absolutely fascinating. The chances of someone having the same top 5 as you in the same order is 1 in 33 million, just for the same top 5. The chances of someone having the same top 34 in the same exact order as you is 1 in 256 undecillion. And if you don't know what that means, it's a real word. It's 26 zeros. It's 26 zeros. And scientists have estimated that over the whole course of the earth, about 106 billion people have ever lived on the earth. 106 billion. So what that statistic means is that there is literally no one like you. There's no one like you. Absolutely not. Not even close. Not even close. Isn't that funny? And just with 34 strengths, you'd think that I was so surprised by that. I was like, oh, I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like me. Nope. Not even a chance. So the big takeaway for me is, if you're not doing your best and you're not making your unique contributions, nobody else will be. Isn't that interesting? So really, you owe it to the world to shine and to come out and to be you. If you don't, you'll be lost. And that'll be so sad, right? So when you focus on other people's strengths, you can literally change the world every day by doing that. So keep disrupting healthcare and disrupting the world and focus on people's strengths and it honors the same principles as essential oils. To me, they're one and the same. To me, they fit each other really, really well. So so play to your strengths and help your leaders play to their strengths. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have. But do you guys have any questions?
If anybody wants here, I'll see if I can open this up so I can see everybody.
I can stop sharing here.
Oh, okay, there we go. And if anybody has something they want to say, you can say it in the chat box and I can unmute you. Or you guys can unmute yourself. Amy, that was amazing. Thank you so much. It's just so interesting. And I, Anne said it in the end that your close was amazing. It was very mind-blowing, that the statistics is what she was saying. And I agree. I mean, you really put that so well, that we are so unique. And it is so funny how you demonstrated the woo and the relator between you and Callie. I'm relator as well. So I thought that was really funny. And when Callie posted that she was a woo, I was like, really? I was shocked. I it's so funny, but it's funny how you can relate to so many people on all these different levels, and yet we have all these different strengths. So it's really very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Does anyone have any questions? Jackie's holding up her book. Wait, hold on. I can't unmute you, Jackie. You'll have to unmute yourself, girlfriend.
No, I have this one.
How is it?
It's good. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. It's like a reference. So once you kind of know your strengths, you can go back in and just read the ones that you need, if you do the top 5. And I still have to work with it. Like, I pulled out what oils are now aligned with me, but I have to actually anchor them. I haven't done that yet. Mm-hmm. So
Very cool. I got it too. I just haven't used it yet. And Amy, I love the app, the Gallup app, like you recommended, and I think it's so cool that we can share. And like you said, how there's 4 themes. I thought that was also really neat too, as a way to look at it, because I have 1 in each theme, but I have 2 in the blue theme, which is that one. But it was kind of neat to see, I was talking with one of my friends about it, and it was neat to see where she had 3 all in the same category. So it's so funny how someone can have really strong strengths in a certain area or whatnot. It's really neat.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Any other questions or? Okay.
All right. Well, then we'll wrap it up. Well, again, thank you, Amy. This is really enlightening, and it was just so helpful. And I think it's going to help our team so much to grow and to learn more about each other. And thank you, ladies, all for being on. It was so nice to see your faces, as always. Have a nice night, everybody.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.